Urban Fantasy Adaptation Contest. Complete voiceover script for narration. Urban Fantasy Adaptation Contest. Pocket FM Adaptation Contest. 5 legendary stories. 1 writing challenge. Take a blockbuster story and adapt it to Hindi. Win big. The challenge. Choose one of 5 English blockbuster stories. You'll receive complete scripts, episode summaries, and story bibles. Your task? Adapt it into a Hindi audio series that feels authentically Indian. Not translated, transformed. The plot stays. The soul changes. Katha Sutra. What if the ordinary world you know was hiding something extraordinary all along?
Your hero walks through a world that looks normal on the surface. Crowded streets, struggling jobs, unremarkable lives. But beneath the everyday facade, power flows like hidden rivers. Systems whisper in chosen minds. Ancient beings wear human faces. The dead refuse to stay buried. And somewhere, in a body that isn't theirs, or a life that just shattered, your protagonist is about to discover that everything they believed was a lie. This is the moment the veil tears open. They didn't ask for this. The voice in their head that grades their every action. The memories of a life they never lived. The powers that mark them as something other than human. One day they were nobody. A broke student, a dying man, a tortured child. The next, they're caught in a world where cultivation meets conspiracy, where entertainment industries hide ancient competitions, and where the price of power is everything you thought you were.
Channel the intoxicating rush of abilities unlocking like levels in a game. The paranoia of not knowing who's human and who's hunting. The desperate humor of facing cosmic horror with nothing but wit and stubbornness. Show us how an ordinary person doesn't just survive the supernatural, they learn to thrive in it, exploit it, and eventually reshape it in their image. But transformation always demands sacrifice. The system that grants power keeps score. The body you inhabit has its own hungry ghost. The skills that make you a star are slowly making you a stranger to yourself. And the question that haunts every urban fantasy remains. When the mundane world and the magical world collide, which one will you choose to save? This is Urban Fantasy. 5 blockbuster stories, 1 legendary genre. Your mission: take a proven saga and make it feel like it was born in India. The 5 stories. Each story below includes a short trailer that captures its essence. Read them all. Feel which one calls to you. Then commit. Story number 1. System makes me superstar. The tagline? Lazy, petty, unstoppable. A broke student in a Mumbai bar. His girlfriend dumps him publicly for a richer man. A system voice binds to his mind. She left him for a future he couldn't give. So a voice in his head offered him a different one. An A-list actress texts a stranger for 50 rupees. He thinks she's a scammer. They meet. They clash. She shows up crying at his hometown. She was the country's biggest star. He didn't know her name. She didn't know he'd change her life. Singer, director, hacker, poet. Every skill unlocked. Every enemy humiliated. Every rule rewritten. Can I go back to my game now? Penthouse. City lights below. Him alone. Phone buzzing. He doesn't answer. I started this for revenge. Now I don't remember how to stop. He grins. Steps into blinding stage light. Why choose this one? If you want to write comedic wish fulfillment with a sharp edge, the petty, lazy protagonist who keeps accidentally winning is the draw. Best for writers who love face-slapping satisfaction and entertainment industry drama. Story number 2. Global High Martial Arts. The tagline? Rise or be forgotten. Internet cafe, blue glow. A young man's face shifts from hope to horror. He was reborn into the past, but it wasn't his world. His stats appear. Wealth, 0. Chi and blood, 78. Spirit, 0. It was a world ruled by warriors, and he was nothing. The protagonist faces Wang Jinyang across a table. You're not strong, but you're willing to do what others won't. Handshake. Not friendship, alliance. Training manuals sliding across wood, until someone saw what he could become. The chi and blood counter climbing. Examiners' shocked faces. Combat sequences. University gates opening. The protagonist walking through enemies like a storm, from nobody to nightmare, from student to king. He stands over fallen enemies, not triumphant, calculating. He sits alone. His reflection shows someone harder, colder. Power corrupts, but powerlessness kills everything you love. I'll take the corruption. He steps into darkness, armies behind him. Why choose this one? If you want to write calculated rise to power with regression elements, the cold, strategic protagonist who builds alliances and crushes enemies systematically. Best for writers who love martial arts progression and ruthless competence. Story number 3, Farming Boy with a Magic Ring. The tagline? Cultivate, rise, defy. A man saves a woman from attackers on a dark road. Days later, same road, same man. A gun fires. He falls. He died a nobody. Eyes snap open in a glowing, impossible paradise. A ring fuses to his finger. He woke up something else entirely. A poor village. A woman watches him walk toward her. A little girl hides behind her legs, then runs forward, arms outstretched. I named her Thinking of You. I never stopped. He lifts the child. The woman smiles through tears. Home. Dead trees exploding into bloom. A man rising from a deathbed after the hero touches him. A gambling den erupting in chaos as he wins $1 billion. A tiger walking peacefully past laughing children. Farmer, doctor, legend. He stands at the center of his transformed village. The world bows. A floating ancient figure smiles down at him. I didn't save you. I'm growing you. 3 years, then I take everything. The hero grips his sword. Behind him, everyone he loves. Ahead, the storm. Then I have 3 years to become strong enough to kill a god. Why choose this one? If you want to write heartwarming rural transformation with a ticking clock, the lost love reunion and village uplift elements create emotional warmth before the cosmic stakes arrive. Best for writers who love found family and cultivation slice of life. Story number 4, Midnight Bookstore. The tagline? Death opens at midnight. A doctor's hands saving a life. Then, a truck. Flames. A crematorium's roar. He died saving others. Then he woke up in someone else's body. Eyes opening in a dusty bookstore. A family that hates him. A world that's no longer what it seems. Misfits gathering. A skin-wearing man, a gaming corpse maid, a drunken Taoist. The bookstore glowing warm against the dark. Freaks. Outcasts. The only family he has left. This is home now. Black nails tearing through ghosts. Samurai armor manifesting. Gates of hell opening. Power beyond mortal limits. Ghost messenger, monster hunter, and host to something ancient. His reflection, eyes that aren't his own staring back. A whispered warning from a ghost child. When the true owner wakes, you will be devoured. Hero's exhausted face, defiance in his eyes. I died once. I'm not planning on doing it again. The bookstore sign flickering, shadows moving inside. The city sleeping outside. Why choose this one? If you want to write horror comedy with found family warmth, the body possession tension and misfit crew dynamics create unique storytelling opportunities. Best for writers who love supernatural mysteries and character ensemble pieces. Story number 5, Inhuman Warlock. The tagline? Forged in betrayal, bound by blood. They tortured him until his heart stopped. They threw his body away. A child on a medical table. Flatline. A body bag in a wasteland. Then, movement. His parents died protecting a secret. He was that secret. A mother's gloved hands on his. A father's proud eyes. Flash cut to a violet eye opening in darkness, black lightning shattering armies, wounds healing instantly, enemies turning to ash, governments falling. You made me into this. Now live with what you've created. The protagonist, hands trembling, standing in the void of space, stars around him, alone. He's not human. He never was. Why choose this one? If you want to write dark origin stories with escalating power, the child experimentation, trauma, and multiple power system create intense emotional stakes. Best for writers who love anti-hero journeys and revenge narratives that go cosmic. Adaptation philosophy. You are not translating. You are transforming. The goal is simple. A listener should feel this story was written for them, not translated to them. The emotions are universal. The expression must be local. Let's talk about what's sacred, the elements you should not change. First, the core emotional journey. That arc from humiliation to awakening to rise to cost. That stays. Second, key plot beats. The story structure and major events remain intact. Third, power system logic. How abilities work and progress. Keep that consistent. Fourth, character archetypes. Their functions in the story should be preserved. Fifth, major twists. The key revelations and surprises must land the same way. And sixth, tonal balance. The ratios of comedy to drama to horror. Maintain those. Now here's what's yours to transform freely. Names and places. Adapt the cultural context and geography. Mythology framework. Reimagine the spiritual and supernatural systems. Social structures. Reshape the systems of oppression and hierarchy. Power manifestation. Change how abilities appear and what they're named. Dialogue and humor. Adapt the emotional expression patterns. Regional flavor. Inject local idioms and cultural references. And daily life details. Transform the food, clothing, festivals, and rituals. Here's the litmus test. If someone heard your adaptation without knowing the source, would they ever guess it wasn't originally written in Hindi? If yes, you've succeeded. If no, dig deeper into the transformation. Indianization Guide. Use this as a starting point, not a prescription. The best adaptations will find their own vocabulary. Let's start with terminology swaps, converting original terms to Indian adaptations. For system or AI voice, consider options like Antarvani, Divya Drishti, or Siddhi Pranali. For cultivation or chi, try sadhana, tapasya, shakti, or prana. For level up or breakthrough, use utkarsh, jagran, or siddhi prapt. For skill unlock, consider vidya prapt or kala jagran. For ghosts or spirits, you have pret, bhoot, atma, or pishach. For magic ring or artifact, try divya anguthi or siddha astra. For rebirth or regression, use punarjam or kal wapsi. For body possession, the term is parakaya pravesh. For forbidden zone, consider Nishedh Kshetra or Kalavanam. And for sect or academy, use Gurukul, Ashram, or Sampradaya. Now let's discuss mythology options. Your supernatural elements should feel rooted in Indian imagination. Pret and Bhoot are restless spirits with unfinished business. Pishach are flesh-eating demons driven by dark hunger. Vital are corpse dwellers who carry ancient wisdom. Chudail are vengeful female spirits. Yaksha and Yakshini are nature spirits and treasure guardians. Naga and Nagin are serpent beings with water and earth powers. Asura are demon kings representing cosmic opposition. Gandharva and Apsara are celestial musicians and beings of divine beauty. Chiranjeevi are the immortals, figures like Ashwatthama and Hanuman. And tantric entities are bound spirits summoned through ritual powers. Social oppression frameworks. The source stories use various forms of social hierarchy and injustice. Find the Indian equivalent that carries the same emotional weight. Consider joint family politics, inheritance battles, cousin rivalries, the pressure of Khandan ka naam, or the rural-urban divide, small-town shame, city snobbery, the eternal conflict of Gaon versus Sheher. Gender-based limitations, captured in phrases like "Ladkiyan aisa nahi karti." Economic class warfare, the battle between rich and poor, haves and have-nots. Entertainment industry gatekeeping, nepotism, casting couch culture, insider circles. And regional discrimination, language bias, being treated as an outsider. Story-specific adaptation notes. Each story has elements that require special attention during localization. These are your trickiest transformation challenges. For System Makes Me Superstar, here are the tricky elements. Element 1. The system voice. It's an AI-like presence granting skills. In Indian terms, consider Antarvani, meaning inner voice, or a tantric entity bound to serve, or a Vardhan, a boon, from a dying sage. The gamification elements like points, missions, and rewards need cultural grounding. Element 2. Entertainment industry setting. This translates beautifully to Bollywood or the TV industry. Lean into nepotism culture, PR machinery, award show politics, and the specific texture of Indian celebrity life. Element 3. The petty protagonist. His laziness and pettiness are features, not bugs. Don't make him noble. His charm is that he wins despite barely trying and holds grudges forever. Preserve this personality. Element 4. Skill acquisition. Each skill unlocks like a game achievement. Frame it as Siddhi Prapt, power acquisition, or Vidya Jagran, knowledge awakening, or divine download. The instant mastery needs mythological precedent for global high martial arts. Here are the tricky elements. Element 1. Rebirth and regression. He's reborn into the past, but in a different world. In Indian terms, think Punarjam with a twist. Same soul, parallel Bharat, where martial cultivation replaced normal society. The second chance narrative is universal. Element 2. Martial arts world. It's a society where chi and blood determine everything. Transform this into a prana and rakta system. Physical cultivation through breathing, diet, and combat. Universities become Vidyapeeths. Rankings become Shreni. Element 3. The cold protagonist. He's calculating, not heroic, willing to be ruthless for survival. Don't soften him. His pragmatic brutality is the appeal. Indian audiences love a hero who outsmarts rather than outfights. Element 4. System interface. Stats panels showing chi and blood. Keep this as Divya Drishti, divine sight, or make it an internal awareness. The numerical progression creates satisfying growth. Preserve the measurability. For Farming Boy with a magic ring, here are the tricky elements. Element 1. The magic ring. It's an artifact granting powers and a cultivation space. In Indian terms, consider Siddha Anguthi, blessed by an ancient sage, containing a pocket dimension called Antariksha. The ring as teacher trope works well. Element 2. Rural village setting. This is your strength. Make it hyper-local. Use a specific Indian village, specific crops, specific festivals. The village transformation arc should feel like watching your own hometown prosper. Element 3. The lost love reunion. He returns to the woman who waited and the child he never knew. This melodrama is peak Indian storytelling. Lean into it fully. The family reunion should make audiences weep. Element 4. The master's bargain. An ancient being saved him but plans to take over. Frame this as Guru Shishya gone wrong, a Chiranjeevi seeking a new vessel, or karmic debt. The 3-year deadline creates perfect tension. For Midnight Bookstore, here are the tricky elements. Element 1. Body possession. A good man wakes in a stranger's body with a terrible reputation. In Indian terms, this is Parakaya Pravesh, soul transmigration. The original owner's sins now burden him. Explore the karma implications. Element 2. The misfit crew. A skin-wearing creature, a corpse maid, a drunken Taoist. Transform these into Indian supernatural beings. A Vital who wears faces, a Pret who games all day, a Tantric who drinks to forget. The found family dynamic is crucial. Element 3. Ghost messenger role. He becomes a spirit intermediary. In Indian terms, think Yamadut adjacent, a broker between worlds, someone who helps ghosts find peace. The bookstore becomes a liminal space between Lok and Parlok. Element 4. The body's true owner. Something ancient sleeps inside him, waiting to reclaim control. This possession within possession creates unique horror. The ticking clock of "when will I be devoured?" drives tension. For Inhuman Warlock, here are the tricky elements. Element 1. Child experimentation. A child tortured until he awakened powers. Handle this sensitively, but don't sanitize. The horror of what was done to him justifies his rage. In Indian terms, think forced tapasya, tantric experiments on children, ashram abuse. Element 2. Multiple powers. He has lightning, decay, healing, and more, an impossible combination. Frame these as conflicting cities that shouldn't coexist, making him an abomination to traditional power structures. Element 3. Parents' secret. They died protecting knowledge of what he was. The hidden lineage reveal should tie to Indian mythology, perhaps descendants of someone cosmic, carriers of a forbidden bloodline. Element 4. Organizations hunting him. Government agencies tracking superpowered individuals. Transform these into tantric orders, ancient sampradayas, or shadow ministries. The institutional evil should feel specifically Indian. Element 5. Cosmic escalation. The story goes galactic. If you're keeping this, remember that Indian cosmology has 14 lokas, plenty of room for expansion. The scope creep from hunted child to cosmic power needs earned progression. Universal adaptation checklists. Use these to audit your adaptation quality. Chapter 1. Adaptation checklist. By the end of Chapter 1, verify the following. All names feel naturally Indian, not transliterated, but chosen. The setting feels specific to India, not a generic fantasy land with Hindi names. The power system terminology is established and consistent. The social context makes sense in Indian terms: family, class, and industry dynamics. Dialogue sounds like how Indians actually speak, not dubbed. The supernatural elements feel rooted in Indian imagination. The emotional beats land the same way they do in the source, adapted, not lost. And finally, a new listener would never guess this was adapted from foreign source material. Chapter 5. Adaptation checklist. By the end of Chapter 5, verify the following. Your Indianization choices have remained consistent across all episodes. The power progression terminology feels natural and escalating. Relationships feel Indian. Family dynamics, friendship patterns, respect and intimacy codes. Humor, if any, has been adapted to Indian sensibilities, not just translated. The world-building details accumulate into a coherent Indian setting. The source story's key emotional beats have all landed with equal or greater impact. Nothing feels foreign or dubbed anymore. And you've added texture that makes it more than the original, not just equivalent. 10 questions to guide your adaptation. These are not story-building questions. Your story already exists. These are localization audits to ensure your transformation is complete. Question 1.
What are you calling the power system? The source calls it system, cultivation, or magic. What Indian term captures the same weight? Options to consider: Antarvani, inner voice, for system stories; Sadhana or Tapasya for cultivation; Siddhi Pranali for gamified powers; Shakti Jagran for awakenings.
The test. Say it out loud in dialogue. Does it sound natural? Question 2. What is your power vocabulary? List every power and skill term from your source story. What's your Indian equivalent for each? For example, level up becomes Utkarsh or Siddhi Prapt. Skill points become Shakti Ank or Siddhi Bindu. Quest becomes Abhiyan or Kartavya. Breakthrough becomes Jagran or Mukti. The test. Is it consistent? Would a listener learn this system without confusion? Question 3. Where is this story set? Not just India, but where in India? What region, what era, what specific texture? Consider a specific city's entertainment industry: Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai. Or a particular village's agriculture and festivals. Or an urban supernatural underworld geography. Or whether it's historical period or modern day. The test. Could you describe the smell, the sounds, the weather of your world? Question 4. How does your hero speak? What's their dialect, their speech pattern, their vocabulary level? Consider regional flavor: Bambaya, Bihari, Punjabi, South Indian. Class markers: educated, street smart, rural. Age-appropriate language and slang. How they address elders, peers, and enemies. The test. Read their dialogue aloud. Does it sound like a real person from your setting? Question 5. What makes the social context feel Indian? The source has a specific injustice or social structure. How does that manifest in Indian society? Consider the weight of nepotism and connections in industries. Joint family expectations and interference. Class discrimination and status. Small town versus big city dynamics. The test. Would an Indian listener feel the unfairness in their gut? Question 6. What Indian mythology does your supernatural draw from? Even if you invent something new, what existing legends does it echo? Your supernatural should feel like it could exist in temple stories and local legends, in grandmother's warnings, in regional folklore, in Puranic or Tantric traditions. The test. Could you explain what this entity or power is to your grandmother? Question 7. How do relationships code Indian? Elder respect, friendship intimacy, romantic restraint, family obligation. How do these show in your adaptation? Consider how characters greet each other. Physical touch norms, forms of address, aap, tum, or tu. Unspoken family expectations. The test. Do your characters interact the way Indians actually do? Question 8. What details make your world feel lived in? Food, clothing, festivals, daily routines, slang, curses. What's specific to your version? List 10 details that only exist in your adaptation. What they eat and when. What curses and exclamations they use. What festivals interrupt the plot. What the streets, rooms, and spaces feel like. The test. Could someone recreate your world's daily life from your script? Question 9. Where have you added, not just translated? What moments did you expand because they resonate more for Indian audiences? Look for opportunities. Family scenes that hit harder here. Humor that's funnier in Indian context. Emotional beats that need different expression. Cultural moments the source couldn't have. The test. What would an Indian listener love that the original audience might not notice? Question 10. The final test. Does it feel like translation or creation? Read your adaptation blind. If someone heard this without knowing the source, would they ever guess it wasn't originally Hindi? The test. Give it to someone who doesn't know the original. Ask where they think it's from. Tips for strong character appeal. क्या तुम्हारा हीरो एक विक्टिम है? तुम्हारे हीरो को सच्चा अन्याय सहना चाहिए, जो सुनने वालों को उसकी तरफ से गुस्सा दिलाता है। एक तरह के पीड़ित को चुनो,
परिवार के धोखे का शिकार, ऐसे रिश्तेदार जिन्हें उसकी हिफाजत करनी चाहिए, वो उसकी विरासत चुराने और उसकी जिंदगी बर्बाद करने की साजिश करते हैं। वर्ग के अपमान का शिकार, अमीर ससुराल वालों, एम्प्लॉयर्स या समाज से रोजाना का अपमान जो उसे बेकार मानते हैं। देखी हुई हत्या का शिकार, एक प्रिय इंसान को अपनी आंखों के सामने असहाय होकर मरते हुए देखा और सदमे और जिंदा रहने के गिल्ट को ढूंढा। पहचान की चोरी का शिकार, धोखाधड़ी या हिंसा के जरिए उसका असली नाम, स्टेटस और जन्मसिद्ध अधिकार छीन लिया गया। मजबूर हालात का शिकार, हेर फेर या जोर जबरदस्ती के जरिए अवांछित शादी, नौकरी या रहने की सिचुएशन में फंसा हुआ। मेन बात, उसकी परेशानी बिना किसी गलती के होनी चाहिए और उसे कमजोर दिखाए बिना सच्ची सहानुभूति पैदा करनी चाहिए। क्या तुम्हारे हीरो में खूबियां हैं? तुम्हारे हीरो में अटूट नैतिक गुण होने चाहिए जो सुनने वालों को उसकी अंधेरी दुनिया के बावजूद उसका सम्मान करने पर मजबूर करते हैं। मासूमों का रक्षक, कमजोर लोगों को बचाना, भले ही इससे उसकी खुद की प्लानिंग को खतरा हो। धोखे के बावजूद वफादार, परिवार द्वारा छोड़ दिए जाने के बाद भी काबिल दोस्तों के प्रति वफादार रहना। दुश्मनों पर दयालु, उन हारे हुए दुश्मनों पर दया दिखाना जो माफी के लायक नहीं है। न्याय से प्रेरित, सिर्फ पर्सनल फायदे या बदले के लिए नहीं बल्कि हर किसी के लिए गलत को सही करने की कोशिश करना। आत्म बलिदानी, दूसरों की भलाई को अपने आराम, सेफ्टी या इच्छाओं से ऊपर रखना। क्या तुम्हारे हीरो में अट्रैक्टिव क्वालिटीज हैं? तुम्हारे हीरो में ऐसी अट्रैक्टिव खूबियां होनी चाहिए जो दूसरों और सुनने वालों को नेचुरली उसकी तरफ खींचती हैं। नेचुरल करिश्मा, बिना कोशिश किए ध्यान खींचना और वफादारी को इंस्पायर करना जिससे लोग उसका साथ देना चाहें। तेज इंटेलिजेंस, शानदार स्ट्रैटेजीज से दुश्मनों को मात देना और धोखे को देखना जिसे दूसरे मिस कर जाते हैं। फिजिकल मैग्नेटिज्म, आकर्षक लुक जो तारीफ भरी नजरें खींचता है और रोमांटिक रिश्तों को यकीन दिलाता है। छुपे हुए टैलेंट्स, स्किल्स का होना जैसे लड़ाई, भाषाएं, कला जो उसकी महान विरासत का हिंट देते हैं। शांत कॉन्फिडेंस, दबाव में सम्मान बनाए रखना और हालात के बावजूद हल्की सी अथॉरिटी के साथ खुद को कैरी करना। ये खूबियां तुम्हारे हीरो को वो बनाती हैं जिसे सुनने वाले कामयाब देखना चाहते हैं और दुश्मन उसके खतरे को कम आंकते हैं। जबरदस्त क्लाइमेक्स बनाना, क्लिफ हैंगर्स, अपने ऑडियो एपिसोड्स के लिए सुनने वालों को जोड़े रखना। एक छुपे हुए सच को उजागर करो, हीरो की असली पहचान, फैमिली सीक्रेट्स या उनके दुख के पीछे के असली मास्टरमाइंड के बारे में अचानक एक रिविलेशन दो। उन्हें जानलेवा खतरे में छोड़ दो। अपने हीरो को तुरंत फिजिकल खतरे का सामना करते हुए किसी भरोसेमंद इंसान द्वारा धोखा दिए जाने या एक ऐसे जाल में फंसने के साथ खत्म करो जिससे वो बच नहीं सकते। एक बहुत ही अहम सवाल पूछो, वफादारी, पहचान या बदले के बारे में एक जरूरी सवाल के साथ कहानी खत्म करो जिसका जवाब न दिया गया हो, ताकि सुनने वाले हीरो के अगले कदम के बारे में सोचें। मुठभेड़ के बीच में रुक जाओ, उस सीन को वहीं पर कट कर दो जहां हीरो अपनी असली पहचान बताने वाला हो, बदला लेने वाला हो या जिंदगी बदलने वाला फैसला लेने वाला हो। Urban Fantasy Adaptation Contest. 5 stories, 1 challenge, your transformation. Choose your story, transform it completely. Make it feel like it was born in India.